Welcome to happy hour aboard Sophisticated Lady. Yeah, it's happy hour, so no going to shore tonight. We're just here watching on the wind because there's some wind blowing and some rain coming down. But it's good for the buckets, so we're collecting a little bit of rainwater, which is nice. Hopefully be one of the last times we need to catch rainwater, because next on our big project list is the Watermaker. But yeah, you can see we are collecting rain. Lots of it. Yes, I'm sure some of you will remember seeing us catching rainwater in buckets on Sophisticated Lady. We've been doing that for a few years, but now I wanted to step it up a notch, so decided to build a rain catch on the bow. It's just an experiment to start with, and I built this for less than $25, so we're going to run a first test on it just by dumping some of our new fresh rainwater into the tarp and find out where the center of gravity is. That's where I cut a small 1.5-inch hole with an X-Acto knife and mounted in a simple sink drain. Now the idea is to fill it with some water and make sure that the center of gravity remains the same as where the sink drain is. So far, so good. And as you can see, the tarp I bought is a heavy-duty 6-foot by 10-foot with reinforced corners. That covers exactly 60 square feet on deck of Sophisticated Lady, and I bought this tarp for exactly $12. Underneath you can see the sink drain, which I bought for $4, connected to a plastic tubing adapter, which I bought for $3. Then we have a flexible piece of bilge tubing with an adapter on one end, and that tube goes directly over to one of our water tanks on the bow. So far, it's working better than anticipated for the amount of money spent. Alright. Time for test 2. We're getting a little more rain today, so let's go see how we're making out. And you can see it's a little bit low, bottom heavy. But I think it's important to take note of why I've got this tarp on an incline. I could have just mounted all 4 corners to the top lifeline, but then the entire tarp would be flat, and that would place the center of gravity right in the middle of the entire tarp, and if it overfilled, it would easily get overweight fast and just shred to pieces. Okay, so it was off by a little bit, a couple little adjustments, raise it up, and just put the center of gravity back at the drain pipe. So now it seems to be working better, and it looks like we got a good amount of rain coming, so fingers crossed we might get some full tanks again today, because we're starting to run low again, so perfect timing. Yeah, here we go. The second reason for the positive incline is to keep the surface concave so that in the face of wind, which we typically get when we're getting rain squalls, the wind will bear down on the top of the tarp and keep it in the proper position and shape for catching rain. If the top was flat and horizontal, wind would get underneath it and it would keep flapping like a sheet in the wind, which would not only flick a lot of rain off of the tarp, it would also exert a lot of extra force on the reinforced corners, because this is not meant to be a sail and we can get a lot of wind at the start of a squall. Yeah, baby. I'd call that a successful test. Yeah, that's some good water. And it looks like it's going to be raining for a while. So I think we should be in good shape today. We should be able to catch quite a few gallons like this. Awesome. As you can see, we are collecting a good amount of rain even here. That's only for 5 minutes of raining, and the bucket is almost half full. So we've got 2 buckets here going. Yeah, this one's the same, almost half full. And we're just collecting rain just from this little piece of the bimini here, whatever rains down from the solar panels and through the joiner here and the dodger just into this corner. So it all streams down, and we just hang these buckets here and it catches everything that runs down. And we got a lot more surface area up there on the new canopy, so I'm sure it's going to catch a lot more water than we're getting here. But hey, every little bit helps when we're almost running out. So we got to keep as much coming in as possible, because of course when it's sunny, or sorry, when it's cloudy and raining, we don't have sun, so we have less power, and that's not when we're going to be using a Watermaker in the future. So during rainy season, it's still important to have a good method of catching water. That's the lesson. And again, that's just 5 minutes of rain, so we get an hour or so of this, and it looks like we might, because if you can see over there, it's pretty hazy, but yeah, you can't even see the other islands because it's raining really hard over there. So hopefully that all comes this way, just downpours, fills our tanks, and then we're good to go for several more days with no more filling blue water bottles. That's a lot of water in a short amount of time. Gotta love that. There's a free shower right there. We're just cutting out of rainy season now, but now I'm at the point I'll have the new Watermaker installed in another week or so, and then we start getting more sunshine instead of rain. I will have plenty of power to run the Watermaker and start filling the tanks that way. That's gonna be a big, big bonus in our life. Okay, so now we are about 25 minutes, maybe half an hour into collecting the rain. It's still coming down. You can see it's still coming in here, but check this out. It's full. Holy crap, man. I can't believe it filled up that fast. That's fast. I mean, that tank, we had about 20 gallons in it from before, but it was getting almost empty. So we just put 60 gallons of water in one tank in about half an hour. That's incredible. I love this thing. 10 gallons back here already. Time for bucket number 3. But for the 12 gallons we get back here, which is amazing, that's a bunch of free showers for us on board. We put 60 gallons in with the new rain catch. That's a big difference. But it's all water, and water down here is valuable. You know what? When I take the boat to the marina to fill up water, we have to pay for it by the gallon. And to fill up the water tanks on the boat costs almost as much as filling up your car with gas. Wrap your head around that one. So believe me when I say, when we get water for free, it's awesome. Oh, shit. Well, that's it. 4 bottles full already, and I still got 4 buckets here. All right, we need more places to put water. All right, let's have a look, see how we're doing up forward. Should be almost done. Well, there you go. I got to admit, this is the first time the boat has ever been full of rainwater. All tanks full, and in just over 2 hours. And now it's still, you know, it's calmed down a little bit. But we're still getting rain. Look, it's still filling up. I got buckets full again. Now I got no place to put them. So I guess we start doing laundry, go have a shower. Sounds like a good idea, actually. Might as well have a shower while it's just raining extra water anyhow. It's time. Oh, wow. A nice long freshwater shower. Rainwater, no less. And warmed by extra energy from the sun, stored in our lithium battery bank. I mean, does it get any better than that? Wow. Finally, after 3 solid days of rain, we got some sunshine back. Well, actually right now it's a little overcast, but yeah, we've had sun since yesterday again, and just hit the nick of time because our batteries are back up to about 83%. The other day, the day before yesterday, we were down to 13%. 13%. Yeah, we were getting low to say the least, but after 3-4 days of solid cloud cover and rain, we're using power but not making any. So we had to start the engine once. I think once we ran it for about 2 hours just to make up some extra power to get through, and that got us through. And then yesterday we started charging again, and now today we're almost, we're looking like we're gonna be at 100% pretty soon. So now that we're full of rain and electricity, we're gonna put the tarp away and start working on the Watermaker, finally. But just before we close the subject on the rain catch, there's one more thing I want to show you guys, and that's just to illustrate a bit of the water quality, because of course that's the important thing when we're talking about all these different systems. And I've got this little device that a lot of you are going to want to have, and it's a little TDS tester, total dissolved solids, and what it will do is test the parts per million of dissolved solids in the water, so we know how good quality the water is that we're getting, whether it's something that we're producing or if it's something we're putting in our tanks from a shore-based source like a marina. On Sophisticated Lady, we've got 2 water systems. So we've got our main tank water system, which is this faucet here. We've got one of these in all the bathrooms on the boat and here at the kitchen sink. We've got this faucet also, which is our drinking water system. So So the difference between the two, this is the one that we put water into the storage tanks, and then we take water from the storage tanks and run it through a small reverse osmosis system, just like you would have in your house. Now, our source water typically comes from a marina, and our usual parts per million count is about between 300 to 400 parts per million, depending on where we're at, what island we're at, whether it's a city water source or, you know, whether they're making it from desalination or wherever. So I want to test and find out what quality water we're getting now that we're actually doing it from rain, because the rainwater should be substantially higher quality than what we're getting from marinas, as long as there's not a lot of sediment in the air that gets trapped in the water as it's starting to rain and hits the ground, because obviously then the sediment would travel with the rain onto our boat and into our water tanks. But I just want to get an idea what parts per million we're looking at here. Is it should be fairly low. We'll get half a mug. We'll rinse off the TDS tester and turn it on. So you can see the TDS tester is just going to go through its little checks and balances. And it should arrive at 0 parts per million. So then we're going to take our mug, it's about half full of water, you just need a good sample to cover the tip, and put it in. And the two probes, there's two electrical probes in there that measure the continuity of the water. So that's what we're doing, is testing the continuity of the water with those two electrical probes. So we put those in the water, and we are getting 40 parts per million. I don't know if you can see that, but 40 parts per million, that's pretty good. I've never had that high quality water in our primary tanks, ever. So that's cool. But that also means that we should have very good water in our purified system. So I'm going to do a test over here. Got to rinse out the source water first, and rinse off the tip of the TDS tester as well. Fill a half a glass. And let's see. Okay, so it's still balanced at 0 parts per million. We put it in, and look at that, it stays at 0 parts per million. So that pretty much means less than 5, so that's pretty darn good. Now that's while we're collecting rain. Of course, next we're going to switch over to the Watermaker, and that's going to make a difference because it's not going to be 40 parts per million. The Watermaker is going to take water from the sea that's typically averages about 25 to 30,000 parts per million. So there's a lot of dissolved solid in seawater, mostly sodium. But a small household reverse osmosis system doesn't have the power or the pressure to purify seawater. So that's where we have to go to desalination, and that typically gets the pressure up to 700 or 800 pounds per square inch. Now, when we put in 30,000 parts per million, we should see a resultant, like a product water that goes into our tanks, of around 250 to 300 parts per million. And that's more than reasonable, that's fully potable, it's fully drinkable, although I still prefer something better for myself. I've been drinking pure water for over 35 years, so I still use the reverse osmosis system here, and that will take the 350 parts per million, or 300 parts per million, whatever it is, down to probably around 20 parts per million. So always a good idea to have something like this, and the maintenance on it is very minimal. I have to change filters maybe once a year, depending on the quality of water going through the system. But with the desalinator, we should not have to do anything more than once a year. So anyway, that's it. Just a quick note. Just wanted to test the water and see what we got, but looks awesome. Yeah, taking the tarp down basically just involves taking off all our guy lines and then going underneath here and just unscrewing this. That piece comes off. Unscrewing the fitting on the drain fitting. That's it, and pull it out the top, like so. Screw this piece back on, just to keep this all together, like so, and you can see, these are the pieces that I used. This is just an expandable one that you can turn around corners, do whatever you want with, compress it back together, and then this one is just a soft silicone end on a piece of bilge tubing. So it just has various sizes here. It'll just adapt to whatever you push it onto. Just push it, it expands, and it holds there, perfect. So it's a really nice little piece of gear, and this whole thing here, everything was, what, 4, 6, yeah, less than 10 bucks for this part, and then 12 bucks for the tarp. So a very effective $23 invested here. Now, I'm just gonna take off the rest of the guy lines and then roll it up. Okay. just get a couple of little Velcro ties. And we'll try it like this for a while. I don't think it'll hurt to just leave it here. It'll be tied up. And of course, if we're gonna go sailing, we just take it off and fold it up and put it in our storage locker. These are very handy little Velcro ties. You can never have too many of these around when you need something quick. And that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed today's video about collecting rainwater. Can never have too many tricks on board to help you save a little bit of either water or electricity. So, good thing to have. Holy fuck. It didn't even break. I hit it with a hammer. It didn't break.
No, nothing.
Nothing. It didn't break. What the fuck? What is this thing made out of?
Don't break in the wall and...
Shit.
Oh, look.
Nothing. Don't break. Oh, shit.
Now, yeah? Be careful.
Yeah. Okay, I'm coming out.